So how does a person, how do you, from your perspective, how does a person actually say, well, you know what, I may need to, let me just assess myself and
Hmm.
see if I do have a problem? Because to me, I don't feel like I have a problem. Maybe
Yeah.
someone around me may think I have a problem, but I don't think I. So, what are the steps that I would need to take to just even assess that there could be a problem?
Well, okay. So there's what you're thinking versus what you're feeling or experiencing. And then there's the past version of you versus the present version of you. When you marry those things together, you now start to see a picture of reality versus what you want it to be, how you want to
Hmm.
present yourself. And reality, if you land on it, if you acknowledge it, is going to be the thing that leads you to do something.
That this is not normal. If I used to be able to walk 5 miles and now I can only take 5 steps,
Yeah.
that reality is in the past I did the 5 miles. So obviously, the picture is a little different. But sometimes, what how our mind works is the mindset is something, isn't it? It's like the 5 steps are okay. In reality, it's not okay. But
Mm-hmm.
we start to just accept and tolerate the changes, but it's not necessarily a change for the better. It's actually a change that's actually hinder us from us being able to reach our highest potential.
It is so true. Just, there's people that have an inflated version of themselves, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about seeing yourself just differently, like a former version of yourself versus the place where you're at now. Because the place where you're at is a place, it's not an identity, it's not who you are,
Mm.
it's a place, it's a season of life, it's a situation you're facing. So when you attach your identity to it, that's where it gets messed up because you are
Yeah,
not the situation you're facing.
yeah. You're more than your situation,
Mm-hmm.
and you can change it. And it can change. What it is today may not be tomorrow. But a
And
lot of times we lose the sight of the future because we get stuck in today.
it's true. And then there's another part. I always say we are designed to live in community. So when you're isolating and not talking to somebody and saying, hey, I have a problem and I just need a safe space to talk, and you're going to end up feeling worse.
Or
So
get worse and not realize you're getting worse.
it's true. That's
Yeah.
very true. So I think that we need to have the right people in front of us. And in my life, God brought different people into my life to give me
Hmm.
that safe space to unpack. And that that was beneficial. I didn't
Hmm.
need more of the same. I didn't need people to tell me, read your Bible more, pray more. I needed people who would just listen and hold space for me
This
and
is
tell
this is where yeah, this is where coaching really matters. Coaching really, because see, I always tell people it's like in the past, you had the great aunt, the uncle, the grandparents, the sister, the cousin. Everyone was somewhat local, and there was pretty much a lot of close units where you were able to communicate among each other. But
me.
a lot of us are in the space where families are in different cities. You don't have those close connections, and that's when things can start really taking a different path, because you don't have the person to sound, for have a conversation with and help get a suggestion. And so a coach can really help support you, and whether it's a life coach, a business coach, a transformational coach, and as you mentioned, the encounter coach. it, Share with us, what do you mean by encounter? Because I know you were mentioning a little bit before we got on the call in regards to, you have something called cut cards.
Yeah. Um, so encounters. They're faith-filling. They help you see yourself the way God sees you, and they give you back what was stolen from you. So whenever there is a threat to your worth, your identity, love and connection, that's like something being ripped from you. And then when you go to God with these cards, they're basically scriptures that I turned into questions. So you just ask Jesus a question. And for what it's worth, I learned that technique in my certification program with a gentleman named Tony Stolstis, who has something called leadership metaformation. And he just taught me how to ask Jesus questions. So it was like, one of my favorites is, what do you think about what I'm believing? So when I'm thinking crazy thoughts about myself, I just say, what do you think about what I'm believing about myself? And I listen. The first time I asked that question, no lie, what I heard was, that's nonsense. Now I had a choice. I can say, what? Was that God? And reject it or accept it. But in that moment, it felt so freeing. And I immediately was able to go, oh, that's a lie. That's a nonsensical kind of thinking that I'm engaging in. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to put that off to the side, and I don't have to think that way.
Isn't it amazing the conversation that we self-engage in?
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's is in our head to right in our mind and our headspace to hear what we tell ourselves, and sometimes it slips where you hear people say, gosh, I'm stupid, I can't believe I did this. And the conversations, I mean, if we speak to other people the way we speak to ourselves, my gosh, we should be a little bit more graceful, more forgiving to ourselves.
So when we talk about reframing, we take a thought, we reframe it to something more positive. All I do with the cards is help you navigate from the place of emotion to the unhealthy coping strategy. And you mentioned overeating. That's one of them that gets identified. Oh, wait, I'm running to food for comfort. Yeah. So what is it?
Numbing the pain.
So what is it that I really need? Oh, wait, this thing was stolen from me. My sense of worth was stolen from me. My sense, the thing that I need the most, that we all need the most, is a sense of love and belonging. That was stolen from me. Well, now it needs to be replaced or restored. How am I going to do that? I can run around and try and get that from people, and that could be helpful. Yeah. But it also could be very clingy and codependent.
Yeah.
Well, what are you supposed to do? And that's where faith comes in. That's where God comes in. He gives you what some people aren't willing to give you or aren't able to give you.
That's beautiful.
So it's just a three-prong approach.
Yeah, yeah. So if someone wanted to connect with you, Lisa, in regards to, just having a conversation with you of all the things that you've shared here, how can we connect with you?
Well, I have a website. It's ptcenter.life. I have a Facebook group for women. It's called Living from the Heart for Christian Women. And that's on Facebook. And you can also just reach out to me on Facebook through Messenger. I'm on LinkedIn. I have lots of different ways you can connect with me. But if you go to my website and there's a part where you can say, get in touch, take you 3 seconds to fill it out, I'll get right back to you. And then we'll just have a conversation, and I'll hold space for you for a little while. And then you can decide if you want to go further in the coaching relationship or not. Because I don't want to be forcing myself on people. I want it to be driven by you. I want you to say, you know what? I think this is going to work. I think this is what I need. I think this is who I need to connect to. It's a right fit. And if it's not, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. That's the best way, isn't it?
I think
that's the best way. The best way of building a relationship is nothing forced. It's really just if the person is curious enough to learn more, intrigued, or even inspired by the things that you shared, and had you, like as you mentioned, as putting a nurturing environment in place, just so that you could hear them out, and then finding out if it's a right fit or not. If
Yeah.
you had one last advice to those who are listening of how that they can really just start paying attention to themselves, what would that advice be?
Hmm. I would say pay attention to your emotional state. Are you in fight, flight, or freeze? Because I was in a frozen state. And unfortunately, that's the hardest one to detect. You're just like, I don't know what's wrong. But if you pay attention to, I want to fight with everybody, I want to run away from everybody, or I'm frozen and I don't know what to do, that is a good place to start. The emotional state.
The emotional state. And let me tell you, Lisa, this has been phenomenal. How do you serve in general? If someone asks you, how do you serve others?
Truthfully, I don't have the best business model. I just make myself available to you. And if God reaches your heart or I make sense to you, I don't sell packages. If it takes 2 sessions, great. If it takes 1, great. But I want to be a person of integrity. And if you get what you need in 1 or 2 sessions and maybe just need a checkup later on, that's good. And to be honest with you, I might check up with you later on too. If you come to mind, I'm going to check on you, because usually if I start thinking about somebody, there's a reason for it. Yeah. And so I just hold space for people. I listen deeply. And while I'm listening deeply, I'm making these mental connections of your past to where you are now. And that's the thing that gets people unstuck.
Being there for them exactly where you need to be for them. Thank you for that.
Yeah. It's a beautiful way to live, and it's beautiful work, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you so much, Lisa. This has been a phenomenal conversation.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, everyone, as you notice, Lisa is really a soul inspired. She is a person who is there to just serve who needs to be served, one at a time, not a package, not putting it in a position of selling. It's really just who fits with her way of loving, embracing, and really finding the best of you emotionally, spiritually, but most importantly, how you serve others too. With that, thank you for being here for on your inspired journey. I'm Carla Andrews, and I'll see you soon.